honestly, I didn't like it at first. Part of that might have been colored by my experience on White Boy Rick, where the casting of the character or the casting of the role White Boy Rick was very controversial, and they cast a non-actor, which turned out to be a huge mistake. So when I saw the Black Mafia family show doing the same thing, my initial reaction was, this is a bad idea. I know it meant a lot to Demetrius. I know that Demetrius was putting a lot of pressure on them to do it. And that said, I don't think they would have done it if they didn't have faith in little Demetrius.
Right.
And that the faith proved, well sourced, because I know they put him in like an intensive acting school program.
Okay.
Where he was like,
I was gonna ask you that because I was like
a year.
This kid didn't. They had to.
For like a year.
Yeah, that's Big Lou, by the way, family. What up, Lou?
As opposed to, again, and I guess this is the right way to do it, as opposed to what I saw on White Boy Rick, where they cast this kid who was literally living in a trailer park in Baltimore. They found him in his principal's office at his high school. Plucked him from this trailer park and dropped him in Matthew McConaughey's lap and said,
play well.
They told McConaughey and Richie Merritt, who, by the way, Richie Merritt's a great kid, and none of that was his fault. You put so much pressure on this 15-year-old kid's shoulders who had never done anything before, had never acted before, and you put the weight of a $40 million studio picture on his shoulders. It was just so unfair. And Richie is a great kid. And Richie, I saw he got cast in some stuff. It's clearly it wasn't a breakout role for him because the movie faded fast. But I see that he has been able to get cast in some other stuff, and hopefully we'll be able to find a career for him and for himself. And he wasn't bad. No. I didn't think he was bad. I just didn't think he moved the needle. Like he didn't jump off the screen.
The script,
but he wasn't horrible.
The script has some issues itself.
Well, I mean, we can get into that. They all they needed to do was just make the initial. This was the disaster that was the White Boy Rick film is a microcosm of the old saying, just paralysis by analysis. Yeah. If they just would have made the script that they bought to make, which was on the Hollywood Blacklist, which is a list that's put out every year, the 20 hottest non-produced film scripts. And it's put out by, I believe, one of the major trade publications, either Variety or Hollywood Reporter. And it's been going on for about, I think, 15, 20 years. And it's like the first week of January every year they put this thing out called the Blacklist. And then those become the hottest scripts because they're being touted as the best unmade films. And they bought one of these scripts, and I read it, and it was brilliant. And then they spent a year and a half chopping it up and giving it to 7 other writers to mess with it. And then what you saw was what you saw, which wasn't very good.
Your doc was good. What was the doc?
Then my doc, White Boy, which was a viral hit on Netflix. I'm really proud of it. It's still, when you go to Netflix, you go to documentaries. It's one of the first things you're going to see. We were number 4 overall on the whole platform for about 3 or 4 days in April of 2021. It was surreal because the project had come out 2 or 3 years before that and had been on Starz, had been on Apple TV, had been on Amazon Prime, and nobody saw it. And then the second it hit Netflix, it went viral.
That is weird.
We had 12 million people watch it in a 2-week period.
Wow.
Whoa.
So it eclipsed everything that on those other platforms in 2 weeks, right?
Well, probably in a couple days. Honestly.
Wow.
So, but the casting of Little Meech has been a brilliant call, and I think that this has been as negative as an experience it was working on White Boy Rick. this experience has been incredibly positive. And again, shout out to the Starz people and to Randy Huggins and the G Unit people who have welcomed me in as family and have valued my opinion and advice. And I'm really excited for the world to get a look at the docuseries because the scripted show's great, but the scripted show's scripted and it's great in the way that it's like fun and it's like you're at a carnival and you get to ride all the exciting roller coasters, but the docuseries is like. It's like I think if I'm gonna stay with this analogy, it's like the show is like the local carnival that comes every summer that you can jump on the rides and ride for a couple days. Right. The docuseries is like going to Disney World.
Okay, you get the whole.
You're just gonna get the full spectrum, and you're gonna get them. It's so comprehensive the way that we've been able to. The opportunities we've had to stretch our legs in terms of the storytelling in the docuseries, where you're going to get not just the most comprehensive, exhaustive analysis and chronicling of Black Mafia family from the late 60s when the Flannery family lands in Detroit from Cleveland, all the way into the 2000s, and then eventually the Operation Motor City Mafia bust. But you're going to get it from every person that was there is going to be telling you that story.
Where was the indictment unsealed? Was it in the Eastern District? It was in the Eastern District.
Avon Cohen, yes.
That's who sends Eddie, man.
Yeah.
He's been putting people in jail a long time.
He's just retired. He's 98. He retired at 96.
Gotta be, because he sentenced Eddie back in 85.
He's Demetrius' judge, and but then he stepped away, and now Demetrius is a new judge. I'm blanking on the name.
Well, it's good for Demetrius that Judge Cohen is no longer,
and
he never had a problem. He liked giving out basketball numbers.
Yeah, and he was quite the he could be a curmudgeon. But you want to know an interesting piece of trivia? I don't know where this is coming from. It's a little bit of a rabbit hole, but it made me think of what we're talking about, gangsters, and Avon Cohen's name came up, and iconic gangsters, Demetrius Holloway, Eddie Jackson.
Right.
You know what piece of property Avon Cohen owns? Him and his wife own. They own the Bloomfield Plaza, which is
Maple and Telegraph,
the property where Jimmy Hoffa disappeared.
Right, it used to be Marcus Red Fox.
Yeah.
It's Adiamos now.
Right, but no, that they own the strip mall.
They own the
They own the property.
Get out of here!
Yeah.
Wow.
So the property where that strip mall is, and where the restaurant is in the parking lot of that strip mall.
Yeah.
So Avon Cohen, I didn't know that until later in my research, and I found that out. I was like, wow, Avon Cohen and his wife own that piece of property, and they've owned it for quite a long time.
I give Steve's Deli a shout out.
Yeah,
I know all the time.
Steve's the best.
You guys send a check. That's P.O. Box 25064. Look it up online. Big Boss Filmworks. You guys can send us a check for that.
But the docuseries is going to be so rich and textured, and Demetrius is participating in it. He's doing all his interviews, obviously, from a prison phone. But all the Flannery family, excluding Terry, who we're in negotiations to get Terry to sit down for an interview. We're not sure where we stand with that right now.
Because he's home.
Yeah. But every major BMF lieutenant that is alive and did not cooperate is participating.
So I was going to ask you that. So when it all fell out, there was a Detroit contingent.
Yeah.
The Atlanta contingent.
LA contingent.
Well,
you had they had 20. I mean, they had 23 different crews in 23 different states. The main ones were Detroit, LA, Atlanta, St. Louis,
Cali. Well, we said
LA.
You said LA.
South Carolina. What do you call it? Louisville.
So
New York, Chicago. But yeah, the big ones were the main three. Really were Detroit, LA, Atlanta, and then St. Louis was like the fourth on that.
So all of those guys are involved, or
every lieutenant,
those different.
Yeah, every lieutenant that was indicted in Operation Motor City Mafia, and it was a case that took down almost 200 people. But every lieutenant that is alive and did not cooperate is participating.
It was just time to really tell a great untold Detroit story, because it kind of covers Detroit at its zenith.
Very interesting story.
We decided that we were going to make a movie.
All right, Rich Rossi with you with Motown Mafia. I'm with Courtney.
Louis Stevens,
Courtney Brown.
Courtney Brown Jr.
And Alan Al Prophet Bradley.
And this is an entrepreneurial, inspirational story too, because again, you know, I'm a real estate retail guy. You know, that's what my skill set is. But I'm a businessman, so I was like, you know, we're gonna do it. You know, sometimes when you got a dream, you won't have all the answers on how you're gonna do what you're gonna do.
What made this one unique was not so much the crime, but the intertwining with Detroit's history and the Motown era and kind of the economic decline of Detroit. And it's really the story of a family. And from some perspectives, it's has a happy ending, like you said. For others, it didn't have a happy ending.
Right.